Amos. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
You know how busy you are. I've been witnessing it firsthand how everything with you is on a tight schedule. So
Pretty much.
this means a lot to me that you managed to squeeze me in.
Not at all.
So my first question is, what was your early life like?
Well, I was born in Guyana, in South America. Migrated from Guyana with my parents when I was 9 years old to Britain. So I did part of my education in Guyana, and then I did the rest of my primary education, my secondary education, my university education in Britain. I did sociology at university. I guess when I was a teenager, what I really wanted to do was change the world. I thought if I was in charge, it would be so much better. I've since discovered how hard that is in many of the jobs that I have done. But I hope that, looking back at my career, there were some themes there that are really important. Issues around social justice, racial equality, gender equality have all been very important to me.
Wow. As being a black woman, has that have anything to do with your work ethic?
Oh, I think it does. For me, partly because I've been a first many times, and I think that as a black woman being a first, I'm always very conscious that it's important that I'm good at what I do, because I want to be paving the way for others to come after me. So I think that there's a certain thing that you do as an individual, which is that you put quite a lot of pressure on yourself to be really good at what you do, which can be quite hard, because one of the things that's important about how we work and how we grow and how we learn is that it's important to make mistakes. But our mistakes get amplified when you're a minority in a role, when you're a first in a role. So getting the balance right in relation to that can be quite hard. So it's not that I don't think that people who are senior and successful don't work hard, but I do think that there's an added element of it when you're a first, when you're the first woman in a role, when you're the first black person in a role, when you're the first person of colour in a role, that gives a kind of added, what feels like an added responsibility.
You mentioned that you're always the first, essentially, and it's kind of like, that's got to be a lot of pressure on you. How do you cope with that?
Well, I think family and friends and support system is really important. My family keep my feet very firmly on the ground, and I really appreciate that. And I love being with them. I've had some jobs that are inherently stressful. One of the roles that I did was at the United Nations, when I was responsible for coordinating the response to humanitarian crises around the world. It's pretty much 24/7, and working in some very difficult and dangerous situations. But of course there are people around you that you can talk to who are also in a similar situation. But I work hard. I try to ensure I make a little bit of time for things like theatre and music, which I love, and as I said, time with family.
I'm not too informed. What is the House of Lords?
Really good question. So here you have the House of Representatives and the Senate, which make up your Congress. We have the House of Commons and the House of Lords, which makes up our Parliament. Where we are different is that our House of Commons is the elected chamber with our members of Parliament, they're called MPs. Our House of Lords is made up of people who have been appointed. So in that sense, we are similar, but not too similar to the Senate, because we're the upper chamber, the second chamber. But we're appointed, not elected. There are quite a lot of us, so we don't have the same power as the Senate does, but we do scrutinise every piece of legislation that comes into Parliament. So the House of Commons looks at it, we also have to look at it, and very often we are the chamber, we are the people that are making a lot of amendments to that legislation so that it'll actually work properly in practice.
Well, you're very ambitious. Have you ever thought about running for presidency back home?
Oh, no, is the short answer to that.
Okay.
I've been very involved in politics in Britain. I was the first black woman in a British cabinet in the United Kingdom. I was the first black woman who was a High Commissioner, an ambassador. I was High Commissioner to Australia. Politics, I'm extremely interested in politics. I'm in Parliament, but I don't want to be run to be president of that.
Okay. What wisdom and knowledge would you give to this next generation?
I think that's always hard because this is a generation that's grown up in a time that's very different to the time that I was growing up in. I think it's a very challenging time. I look at what is happening with issues around climate change, the continued injustices and inequality that we see in the world, the continued discrimination, the racism that we continue to see. But I think that there are also some real opportunities for change. So what would I say? That it's important to work hard. Of course I would say that. I think it's really important to know and understand what you care about, because we can use up lots of energy on lots of things and it can take us off into directions that we really don't necessarily want to go down. I think it's important to give time to friends, family, to have a support system. I do think it's important that we look for support and alliances, support in our personal life, support and alliances in our working lives, to really understand that mistakes aren't the end of a career. Mistakes are about learning. And I also think it's important to have fun, leave some time for fun, for regenerating, reflecting and understanding who you are, what you care about and what you want out of this life, because it goes awfully quickly.
I noticed that earlier you said you were into theater, music. I also read up that you're into cricket as well.
I love sport.
I also read up that a lot of people were shocked when you submitted England for a bid for the World Cup.
Oh, so I was on the bid committee initially, but I had to come off the bid committee when I went to Australia as High Commissioner, because Australia was also one of the countries that was bidding. So I was asked to be on a bid committee. So yes, I love cricket, I love tennis, and I love football, which you guys call soccer.
Wow. Well, that concludes today's interview.
Well, thank you, and
Thank
good
you.
luck.